development and where
Well,
you want to go, then and that person is
also,
helping to lift you.
also, if you marry and you live out, you go out a lot on contour, on concert tours or whatever you do, you become somewhat different than when you come back home. Your wife is always in the kitchen cooking and wiping the baby's ass. So she doesn't evolve, and sometimes you do, and your values change. So I said, I don't know what it is, honey, but I'm not satisfied. I want out. She said, well, you're not getting out. I'm taking the house and the kids. So all this stuff in the future will disappear because people will not marry for security. They'll marry because they share ideas and values. There'll be no divorce lawyers say it costs you $2,000 to split up. Who the hell is he? Where did he come from? There's another guy with a white collar says, I pronounce you man and wife. Well, who is he? How can he pronounce you man and wife? If two people love each other, no one can break that. So you see, the world you live in is so full of shit. Yeah. It's so artificial, I don't even know where to start.
Well, how do we get rid
That
of
the movie, the motion picture, and we have to have more lectures, more films like this out there, and people, some people will be turned around. But remember this, you don't have to convince everybody. It takes very few people, less than 7,000, to operate everything on earth. Just take care of people, give them what they want, let them have their freedom. However, if they hurt another person, we don't put them in prison, we help them.
How do we prevent overpopulation?
Okay. Through education is the best way. We don't want to kill people. So if you show people a film called Dynamic Equilibrium, we have to make a lot of films. Yeah. We have to be sponsored, because Roxanne and I can't change the world alone. If you get our books and videotapes, you will see the kind of world I'm talking about. I'm going to show you a 15-minute film that we made for Saudi Arabia. We are always invited all over the world. And so before I go, I make a film for that country to show them what it can be. Not what it will be, I don't know. What it can be if we join together. So the film has a little bit of their values in it, just to get our foot in the door. Then when we get there, we turn them around. What do we turn them around to? How to use the earth intelligently. What is needed is the intelligent management of the earth's resources for the benefit of all the world's people, not profit.
I don't know what's so hard to understand about that for people. I don't know why people...
Well, you'll understand, run this film, and the negative letters that you get will say things like, who makes the decisions in the future? They're angry. What they're really asking is, how do we arrive at decisions, not who makes them? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. We take samples of the soil from all over the world and bring them to Central Agriculture. There are many agricultural research labs, and there they analyze the soil. And by the content of the soil, they'll tell you it's best to grow sugarcane for so many years, you'll get the highest yield from this soil, then rotate to beets. That's not an opinion, that's a finding. So you were brought up, I believed, to believe that everyone should have a right to their own opinion. Most people were brought up that way. So if your sister lived across the street from me, and I see 10 guys coming out of her apartment, I can have all kinds of opinions. She may be a language instructor, ballet instructor, but if you give people a right to their own opinion without surveillance, without understanding, you're creating a dangerous environment. They think it's democratic. They think they live in a democratic society. So they come to me, normal people. Remember, normal means mixed up in my term. They come to me and say, in your society, will I be able to participate? I said, well, you can participate right now. How would you prevent automobile accidents? I don't know. How would you prevent war? I don't know. Did you vote for the space program? No. Did you vote for any highway system in America? No. Did you vote for the building of schools, colleges, anything? No. Where the hell do you participate? All that's an illusion. Everybody thinks they live in a participatory democracy. Let me tell you what a participatory democracy might be like. Our president might criticize another country on television for about an hour and a half. we'd say anything else you want to add. He said, no. Then we invite the prime minister of that country on the air for an hour and a half. Then we invite the prime minister of Sweden on. He said, they're both full of shit. This is how I see it. That's a democracy. Every point of view on the air, not just good old USA. God bless America. Didn't God make everybody on earth? What the hell are you killing them for? Every product out there is made by God, according to religious people. They don't even know how to be religious. The church doesn't deal with anything real, because if it did, they'd be out of business. If a church got up and chased out the money changers, he'd have to shut down. So you see, the church itself has become corrupt. And some churches say, if you don't go to this church, you don't go to heaven. So how corrupt can you be? And God doesn't judge people. If you're brought up in the South and all you hear is the goddamn niggers are this, the goddamn Jews are that, get a big dumb Swede to clean out your cellar. If you get that propaganda all your life, do you think you'll be judged for that? So if people are made the way they are by culture, how can they be judged? And then conceive of Satan, who gets to normal people and says, screw around with your best friend's wife, the tempter. Who made the tempter? God. So what have you got there? You got a confused story, a myth that's so terrible would be an insult to a God if he existed. So consider this. Even Carl Sagan tried to raise funds to communicate with extraterrestrials. Now let's assume that there are people on other planets and they fly here. Anything that can fly 100 billion light years through space is not like us. You can't talk to them. The Democrats can't talk to the Republicans. The Republicans can't talk to the Communists. The Communists can't talk to the Socialists. Husbands and wives can't talk to each other. Children and parents. How the hell are they going to talk to extraterrestrials that are super intelligent? Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Okay. So most people don't even talk to each other. They talk at one another. Do you understand? Talking to each other is sharing ideas. Now, you can't share ideas unless the person has similar values. They tell you there's such a thing as communication. No such thing. In other words, you can't communicate with anyone unless they have similar values to you. Otherwise, you can try to change their way of thinking. But if they're too far gone, in an old way of thinking, like saying, well, I don't know how to picture your world. Well, if you took your grandmother to Miami Beach and she saw the girls walking around with their butts hanging out, she said, they've gone too far, and she's right where she's coming from, but not right for today. So no one say, well, will I like living in the future? I don't know. The future is different than it was 500 years ago. So it doesn't to do with your likes. Does it take care of most people medically? Does it give them the opportunity to study whatever they want to study without the need for money? Yes.
How do you prevent takeover? How do you prevent people subjugating others and controlling the system? Okay.
That occurs in scarcity. When there's scarcity, people hit you on and take your wallet. But if they have access to the necessities of life, they don't steal.
Even the psychopaths that want to run the whole world?
Okay, now you're talking about mental disorders. Mm-hmm. We catch them early in school.
What about the ones that are totally
self-centered
and running the country, running the planet, running the corporations, and they're psychopaths?
Okay. You can detect that in the schools right away when they're very young and clean it out. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, the kids in New York used to drop bricks on the subway trains. Not that they were psychopaths or ill, they needed excitement in their lives. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So instead of ordering kids around to do exercise like they do in Germany, you see these thousands of kids exercising, we build a big lake in the middle of all the cities, and there's a hill in the middle of the lake, mm-hmm. and a craft shop where you can make anything you want to make. To get there, you got to row a boat, you got to climb the hill. Mm-hmm. Don't order people to do exercise. Build it in the design of your community.